Good afternoon, I'm Rob Boskamp, and you're listening to South Texas Midday. Thank you for joining me on this Thursday, October 9th. As Corpus Christi seeks alternative water supplies, officials debated during Tuesday's City Council meeting over a $2.7 million payment that's connected to the Harbor Island Desalination project. The proposal called for the city to pay a non-refundable reservation fee to lock in 50 million gallons of water per day from the Nueces River Authority's planned desal plant. The city would have to pay in advance with no guarantee of money back. Council ultimately voted to delay the decision until October 21st. KIII News reports that city officials say water curtailments could begin as soon as November 2026 if drought conditions persist. Charges against more than 20 people arrested last week during a major immigration raid in McAllen may not hold up in court. Valley Central News reported that Homeland Security investigations arrested dozens of people on October 2nd when agents raided at least 4 ropa usada warehouses in McAllen. Agents determined that they had used tourist visas to work in the U.S. and charged them with fraud and misuse of a visa. During a hearing this week, U.S. Magistrate Judge Juan F. Alanis said that particular charge didn't actually criminalize using a tourist visa to work in the country. Also, Alanis said a Homeland Security investigations agent who testified during the hearing couldn't identify 2 of the alleged ropa usada employees. Nueces County Commissioners voted yesterday to eliminate Justice of the Peace Precinct 1's Place 2 office at the end of next year. The proposal, introduced by Precinct 1 County Commissioner Mike Pusley, will abolish the office currently held by Judge Henry Santana. The court handles civil cases, landlord and tenant disputes, and traffic violations. The city of Corpus Christi has named Dr. Anita Kurian as the new director of the Corpus Christi Nueces County Public Health District. She will begin October 20th and succeed interim director Dr. Dante Gonzalez. Kurian previously served as assistant director at the San Antonio Metropolitan Health District. In state news, a group of Texas Democrats in Congress have penned a letter asking Governor Abbott to immediately withdraw 200 Texas National Guard troops from Chicago. They were sent there to crack down on anti-ICE protests. Houston Public Media's Alexandra Hart reports on their demands.
The 10 Democrats are calling on the governor to stop cooperating with the Trump administration on the deployment of Texas's National Guard troops to Chicago, Portland, or any other U.S. city. They say there's no legal justification for sending the troops to police other states. Houston area Congressman Al Green is among those who signed the letter. He says in the past, such a deployment wouldn't have been tolerated by the public.
We would never have accepted it. And now he's talking about using the actual military in our cities, which is in contravention of the Constitution. There's no insurrection going on that I'm aware of. I've tried to chronicle the news on a daily basis, and I know of no insurrection.
2 Texas Democratic members of Congress did not sign the letter, Henry Cuellar and Vicente Gonzalez. I'm Alexandra Hart in Houston.
Agriculture officials have identified a second case of New World screwworm in northern Mexico. This is a parasitic pest moving toward the U.S.-Mexico border that could do billions of dollars in damage to livestock. The Texas Standard's Michael Marks has more.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture is spending hundreds of millions of dollars to fight New World screwworms, but Texas Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller wants them to do more. He told the Texas Standard that he's encouraged USDA officials to put out pesticide bait for the screwworms, but so far they haven't.
I keep asking why, and they said, well, it would probably kill the good flies too. My answer is good flies? I mean, what's a good fly? That's kind of like a good fire ant.
Miller's department has put out roughly 400 screwworm traps near the border and near ship terminals to monitor for the insect's presence. I'm Michael Marks for the Texas Standard.
Senator John Cornyn is in a statistical dead heat with Attorney General Ken Paxton in the Republican U.S. Senate primary, with Congressman Wesley Hunt in third place. Houston Public Media's Andrew Schneider says that's the finding of the latest survey by the University of Houston's Hobby School of Public Affairs.
Mark Jones, Rice University political scientist and co-author of the survey, says the finding reflects net gains by Cornyn among potential GOP primary voters rather than Hunt taking support away from Paxton.
In the two-way race between Cornyn and Paxton, Cornyn has a 1 percentage point lead, whereas in a three-way race involving Hunt, Paxton has a 1 percentage lead over Cornyn, which statistically is the same thing.
Looking at the potential Democratic primary field, the survey finds Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett leading State Senator James Tallarico, former Congressman Beto O'Rourke, and former Congressman Colin Allred in that order. Neither Crockett nor O'Rourke have yet declared that they are candidates. I'm Andrew Schneider in Houston.
A tobacco company says Texas shouldn't impose tobacco taxes on its nicotine products. As KERA's Toluwani Osabamowo reports, the Texas Supreme Court will have to decide what exactly makes something a tobacco product.
The state comptroller says Velo nicotine pouches and lozenges are tobacco products and can be taxed as such. The company RJR Vapor, which sells Velo, says the nicotine comes from tobacco, but the products aren't made of tobacco. Attorney Christian Vergonis says they don't fit the definition of tobacco under Texas tax law.
They are not composed of tobacco or of any other plant matter that can be used as a substitute ingredient in the manufacture of traditional tobacco products.
The comptroller alleges interpreting tax law this way would cost the state tax revenue and could make these nicotine products more accessible to minors. I'm Toluwani Osabamowo in Dallas.
Meanwhile, back in Corpus Christi this week, City Council voted to add a third pipeline in the city's landfill gas-to-energy project. The addition is expected to link more landfill sites and increase methane recovery for clean energy production. Last year, Solid Waste Services Department partnered with Corpus Christi Renewables to convert landfill gas into energy. The process reduces methane emissions from decomposing waste while generating new city revenue. Bloomington voters will see at least one item of interest on next month's election ballot, a proposed increase in the sales and use tax. The proposition asks residents in the newly incorporated city if they should implement a 1.5% sales and use tax. Bloomington recently became an incorporated city, and the result of the vote would guide the future of its infrastructure and services. The city of Taft has issued a boil water notice due to a leak at the water tower. The Texas Commission on Environmental Quality has advised that Taft residents boil all water for drinking, cooking, or hygiene purposes for at least 2 minutes before use, or to use bottled water as an alternative. The notice will remain in effect until city officials confirm the water is safe to consume. The Dallas-based Texas Stock Exchange won federal regulator approval last week. KERA's Dylan Duke reports on the latest addition to Y'all Street and what it could mean for the state.
That's the sound of Governor Greg Abbott ringing the closing bell earlier this year for the New York Stock Exchange's Texas branch based in Dallas. The branch was relocated from Chicago, drawn by Texas's relatively low cost of living and business-friendly politics. But not far away, its competition was taking shape, one that was homegrown and backed by Texas leaders, the Texas Stock Exchange. The Securities and Exchange Commission approved its application last week. It aims to challenge the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ, which is also invested in Dallas. The city has become the prime location for these companies because of its growing banking industry. Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, and Scotiabank have all increased their footprint in the region recently.
So all that combination of financial services talent is all centered right here in Dallas.
Jeff Karcher is the global managing director for the Texas Stock Exchange.
So you put that together and it really kind of becomes an epicenter for financial strength.
Karcher says that has allowed Dallas to attract talent nationally.
It's why I picked up and left 33 years in Atlanta with a very successful career and moved to Dallas. I was very convinced about what we were doing here.
Dallas is now home to the second largest number of finance employees in the country, behind only New York City. Rachel Race is the head of listings in Texas for NASDAQ.
I think Dallas is creating a really amazing ecosystem, right? And they're using the term Y'all Street, which I think is awesome. But Y'all Street isn't a street, right? It's really this economy that they're building in the city.
She says so many of NASDAQ's clients are located in Dallas, they're opening a regional headquarters in the city.
This is where the action is.
Economists say the level of growth in the finance industry will have a ripple effect throughout Dallas. Colm Clark is the director of the Bush Institute's Southern Methodist University Economic Growth Initiative. He says the exchanges could encourage companies to list Texas as their home state, which could drive investment into areas like Dallas.
If even a relatively small fraction do, it's a totally different world than it's been for quite a few decades.
Kirti Sinha is an assistant professor of finance at UT Dallas. She says the new businesses will bring new high-income workers, and those workers will require new businesses, creating a feedback loop of growth.
Growth basically follows money. Every time you see these white-collar jobs come in, it also translates into some blue-collar jobs, because the people who are coming in, they would need places to go and eat. They would need houses. So you need more people to build, houses.
Clark warns, though, it's too early to tell whether the growth and prosperity will spill over into areas like southern Dallas.
So we'll see. But I'm pretty optimistic about the general tendency of a rising tide that will, to some some degree, lift most, if not all, both.
There's also a question of whether Yall Street will maintain its momentum. The city was the center of a different banking boom in the 70s and 80s that shaped the Dallas skyline, only to fall apart in the savings and loan bust. Clark says rather than a city having a special economic development plan, it needs to focus on the urban basics. That includes public transportation, fixing streets, and having public safety.
If you develop a reputation as a physically unsafe city for human beings, then everything else will be for naught.
If Dallas can get those right, the city could keep up Yall Street's momentum. The Texas Stock Exchange says it will begin listing companies in 2026. I'm Dylan Duke in Dallas.
Pendleton Park in Harlingen is undergoing new renovations. KRGV reports that renovations are expected to cost up to $10,000. The park will receive a new pier for its pond, as the current one is over a decade old. It is expected to be completed later this month. Crews are also installing a new water fountain that will light up in red, white, and blue as a tribute to military veterans. Tennis courts are also being upgraded. And in sports, UT-RGV women's soccer is seeking its third straight Southland Conference win when the team visits McNeese tonight. The Vaqueros defeated Houston Christian and Incarnate Word last week. Their road matchup is set for 7 p.m. tonight. And that is the latest news and information on South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp. Your community arts calendar and more is on the way.